Hello folks, happy Homebrew Wednesday. How you doing, guys? Cheers, 17, and thanks for coming back and enjoying, well, hopefully enjoying another Homebrew Wednesday installment, this time more or less on time. Did my best. I have a great beer here to talk about, and as promised from last week, the hydrometer experiment and whatever else happens here. But first, cheers. We'll talk about this in a moment. I'm really impressed with this. Okay, it's just a simple experiment. One of my viewers a couple weeks ago said something in the comments about adding lime to the keg when you keg your beer, and I don't remember exactly how much he said to add. I don't remember your name, but you know who you are. I think he said 200 milliliters of lime juice. So I went and I bought like 10 limes. Sorry about the noise in the background. My wife's doing laundry. I went and bought like 10 fairly sizable limes. I've actually never seen them this big before. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, measured out, squeezed out 200 milliliters of lime juice and added it to the keg. Well, let's check the limes out first and see what we've got there. Okay, so I just bought a whole bunch of limes. How many is there in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now these are big limes. I've never seen limes this big before. I don't know if this is normal or what. Usually you get the little ones, you know. These are more like lemons sizes. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I've never seen them before. But now we're gonna get the juice out of these. I don't know how much lime juice I'm going to add to this beer. So what I'm going to do is I went online, I was reading a whole bunch of stuff. One of my viewers said 200 milliliters. Somebody in a forum said 80 milliliters. I really think it depends on how much lime you like in your beer. I don't think there's any definitive amount. But first, because I'm going to be brewing one of these, probably one of the last cerveza style beers for a while until summer hits anyway, I'm going to add some lime zest to this batch. I'm going to be brewing this up real soon. So rather than waste the lime zest, got myself here a little micro grater, and let's zest the limes. This is going to take a while, and I'll put the zest in a bag, and when I brew this up, we'll stick it in some boiling water. Thing about zesting a lime is that you just want the outside green part. You don't want anything beyond that. Okay, there we go. Yeah, you just don't want to get down too far into the white part there. You want the just the green, just the zest part. So there is the zest of 10 large limes, and I'll just put that in something, in a bowl or something, in a bag, and then we'll talk now about the juicing part. There we go. Don't get caught with a burnt out headlight with that in your car, as they'll be questioning you. Okay, there we go. We'll just set that aside. Now, as far as juicing these, I was concerned about the sterility or the sanitation of lime juice. This isn't going to fit very good, is it? All right, anyway. But apparently, really the lime juice itself has enough acidity in it. This is what I've read. I'm hoping that it's correct. Enough acidity in it to, actually sanitize the container and to not have anything bad in it that we need to worry about. So I am not going to do anything to this. Somebody on a forum, they froze it. That doesn't really kill the bacteria. So we're just going to go ahead. Actually, I have a better container than this, but I'll get that in a moment. We'll just start by doing this. Not zest them, but juice them. And limes are pretty hard to juice. Pretty stiff. So This is going to take some elbow grease. Holy crap. And when I get, well, through all 10, I guess hopefully we'll see how much we've got. Now there's one, so yeah, we'll get up to about here. And then I'll just stick it in the fridge. I'll cover it up, stick it in the fridge. I'll go down, I'll keg the beer, and add this to the keg. And then I'll get the beer chilled down, and then we'll be able to try it and see what we've got. Okay, well, my hands smell great. And I did 6 of the 10 limes in here. I ended up with 200 milliliters. I'm just going to go for it. Okay, if I need more, I'll put more in. If it's too much, well, I don't think it's going to be too much. I really don't. I mean, I love citrus flavors, so we're going to go with this. Okay, I'll cover this up, put it in the fridge, and I'll get my keg ready. That's hard to do. Limes are not very forgiving when it comes to juice. So I added that to my keg after I, sanitize it and everything, and then put the beer in. The beer was a Cooper's English. Sorry, I always make that mistake. A Cooper's Canadian Blonde. It's like a Pilsner. It's just a very basic, light tasting, light colored beer. Now, this particular batch I used a second can of liquid malt extract, just plain, in place of the dry malt extract and the dextrose. Okay, so it's an all malt beer. Actually, no, I did put a little bit of sugar, corn sugar in, like 300 grams or something, just to bring the gravity up. I used Beersmith to calculate, how much gravity, how much alcohol I was going to get. So, so here's the beer. It's a little bit darker than normal it would be because there's more malt in it. So, it looks more like an ale, really. However, anyway, there it is. And then so when it came time to keg this, I kegged it. I put in the 200 milliliters of lime juice, which you just saw me break my wrist squeezing out. And I kegged it and carbonated it overnight. And, the next day I shook the keg for a while, adjusted it, all that stuff. And I tasted it. And it was pretty good. Wasn't quite enough lime for me. So I put in another 100 milliliters. So 300 milliliters of lime juice total. I had the limes, are left over in the fridge there. So put that in, give it a little shake, put the gas back on it. And it is very refreshing. I can definitely see some problems happening over the summer when it's nice and hot outside and I'm out in the yard doing whatever I do out in the yard, whatever is going on this summer out there, barbecuing or whatever, drinking a couple of these. Yeah, there could be some problems. Not bad problems though. Good problems. It's it still needs to, actually it was clearer than this. The lime juice does make it a little bit cloudy. So if you're all hung up about clear beer, well, you can't put lime juice in. Now, a little word of advice before we move to the hydrometer section of this video, which is a pretty cool experiment that I did, I think. You can use the store-bought lime juice. I guess you get it like in a bottle. Here in Canada, it's called Real Lime, and Real Lemon is the lemon version of it. But that stuff has sulfites in it, so be careful when using the ones that you buy, because you don't know what's in them, and you don't know if there's preservatives, and if there is, it could kill your yeast. And if you're bottling your beer, well, you need the yeast to make the carbonation happen. And if you put that stuff in there, it could kill yeast, and then you're just going to end up with flat beer. Now, in my case, I'm kegging it, so I don't care about the yeast. It's done its job, and now we have a beautiful lime-flavored beer. Awesome stuff. Cool. Cheers. It's perfect. It's nice. Now you do a nice all grain with this, or you get your favorite Pilsner style or light colored beer recipe, whether it's a kit, I don't care what it is, all grain, whatever. And you have to experiment with the lime. Start out with 200 milliliters, in a keg. I'm presuming that if you're bottling your beer, you could probably add it just before you bottle. But you know what? I'm going to admit I'm not that experienced with citrus in beers with yeast. I don't know what it does to the yeast. Does it kill it? I've never done that. Maybe some of you guys have experience with that. You can, if you do, please post comments down below. Because information, it's always good, right? So one more swig of this, and let's get on to the hydrometer thing that I did. It's not a big deal. Don't get too excited, but I found it very interesting. Let's get to it. Okay. I've heard and read many times over the years about taking hydrometer readings at different temperatures. And I've read forums and looked at people's, conversations and threads and whatnot, talking about, make sure you do the calculation, do the math for the hydrometer so that depending on the temperature of your wort, you want to make that, you do that little calculation and make sure it's accurate. So I decided, and I've heard this, and finally I decided, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. I'm just going to do this myself. Now, normally, you're using a hydrometer right before you pitch your yeast, and sometime afterwards when you want to check to see, if it's finished or, what's going on with your fermentation, right? You wouldn't use a hydrometer during a boil. No, don't do that. It'll probably break or something because it's sealed. I don't have one with me here, but anyway, it's stupid me. It's a sealed glass tube, and it'll probably expand and bust and break in your wort, and then you have pour it out down the sink because you don't want glass in your beer, right? So you normally would use a refractometer for a hot gravity reading. If you're taking some wort out of your your mash tun, you want to see the pre-boil gravity or check your efficiencies and all this kind of stuff. You want a refractometer. It looks like a little telescope thing, and you just drop some wort on it and you can read it. And I don't have one myself, and I've been toying with the idea of getting one at some point, but as of yet I haven't got one. But that's when you would use it. Is it hot wort? You don't want to use a hydrometer with that. So normally when you're using a hydrometer, you're doing it at pitching temperatures. When you're about to pitch your yeast. So we're talking usually between 60 and 70 something degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm using Fahrenheit today because I just am not good at Celsius yet. So we're just going to do it this way. It makes it easier for me. I know I'm a big metric guy, but when it comes to temperature, I'm weird about that. Between 60 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, you're usually pitching your yeast. Hopefully not too close to 80 degrees, but hey, whatever. We do what we can. That's when you would be testing your wort, the hydrometer reading, taking a hydrometer reading of your wort. So, do you need to worry so much about the temperature of the wort? Do you need to take the temperature of your wort and then do a hydrometer reading, and do the little calculation to make sure it matches with the, because the temperature is different, whatever? Do you need to do that? Let's find out. I'm going to do an experiment right now. We've got, I hope you can see my shirt, by the way. Awesome. Big thanks to BIY Homebrew Supply for sending this shirt to me, and we got some really interesting couple of videos coming up, some good brews that they've formulated themselves and from their store in Ohio. So please check them out. I'll put the link down below in the description for their website. It's Joe. It's Terp's Korean kid. It's that dude. He's a great guy, and he deserves the attention. So there you have it. My wife saw me take it out of the box, and she's like, "Oh, I want that." I'm thinking like, no, you're not getting this one. This is not a nightie. It's a shirt, and I'm going to wear it. So, anyway, so here's the experiment. I did 3 different temperatures: 60 Fahrenheit, 70 Fahrenheit, and 80 Fahrenheit. In the same hydrometer, same test jar, everything. Okay? Without further ado, let's take a look and see what happened. Okay, my hydrometer is calibrated to read 1.000,
at 60 degrees Fahrenheit. It's got Celsius there too, but today I'm just going to use Fahrenheit because I'm not good at Celsius quite yet. So just for these experiments, we'll just stick to that. So 60 degrees Celsius. Now I have my hydrometer test jar right here, and I'll just show you. I have a thermometer in here. I'm going to pull this out and just show you that it's 61.3 degrees, this water that I've got here. Closest I can get. Okay, so pull that out, and let's put the hydrometer in, and let's take a measurement, give it a little spin. And you're going to start to see what we're going to get here, a reading. And it looks to me, as it goes around, we can see it's just under, yeah, it's just, just over 1.000. So that's about 1.002. Depending on where you read it, do you read it on the surface of the water or where the meniscus touches the hydrometer? The meniscus is right on 1.000. I hope you can see that. I hope it's in focus. Okay, so that's at 60 degrees. Now we're going to raise it to 70 degrees. So I'll do that. And that's going to take me a little while with tap water to get it balanced out. We'll come back and we'll see what happens. Okay, let's have a look at the thermometer now. Got it at 69.6 degrees. As close as I can. It's going to obviously drift when I take it out, but that's what it was when I just took it out. So there, that's what it was. So we'll take that. And we'll spin this. And now we'll see what it reads. Let's see what we've got. Okay. To me it looks almost the same. To me that there's no difference there. If there is, it's very small. I still see the meniscus is sitting right on the 1.000, maybe a hair above. Okay, that's 70 degrees. Now we're going to go up to 80 degrees. No, we'll take it out. You guys are going to have to trust me. It's 79.7. And when I take it out, just quickly put it on camera. See, it's going to go down, obviously. So it was 79.7. on there. It does have a freeze button on it, but I didn't want to do that because I want you guys to know that I'm not making this up. So now we'll give this a spin. And we'll see what we've got now. Okay, there's obviously going to be a difference because there is. I mean, there's going to be. But as you can see, 20 degrees from 60 to 80 didn't really do much. I mean, it's still, as far as I'm concerned, unless you want to use a microscope, 1.000. It is a little bit lower. I can see the meniscus is slightly above 1.000 now. It's more like the surface of the water is getting closer to that line. So it is sinking down ever so slightly, but not very much. All right, I've reached 89.2 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to press the freeze button just this time because I know as soon as I take it out, it's going to change. So there's the reading. Whoops. 89.2 degrees. So nearly 90 degrees. You know, you normally wouldn't really have your wort at this temperature, but let's give it a twirl here. Okay, yeah, you see it's sinking down. So now we got just below the red, or just above the red. The meniscus is just above the 1.000 line. Now, I could keep going up to 100, 110, 120, but I think you get the point. And I can't get any colder than 60 because my tap water doesn't come out that slow, or that low. So, I mean, I could put it in the fridge, but yeah, it's the difference in 30 degrees from 60 to 90 is like half a point. We're talking 0.999 here. Just under 1.000 at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So there you go.
Oh, we're back. Okay, so yeah. Now, as you can see, there's really not a lot of concern. There's no need to do any calculations or anything like that. If you're if you're trying to measure it cooler than 60 degrees Fahrenheit, you can obviously see that there's just not a lot of difference. How accurate do you really want to be with your hydrometer readings? Seriously. I mean, how accurate do you need to be? You know, within a couple of points is fine. And as you can see, we didn't even span more than like 1 point during that whole experiment between 60 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It's 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And there was very, very little difference in the measurement. So, and I kind of thought that was going to be the case, but you know, you see people and you hear people talking about, you know, oh, you know, you got to, you know, make sure you adjust for the temperature when you take your hydrometer reading. Okay, if you really want to nail down like exactly within like 0.5 of a point, you know, your hydrometer readings, I mean, that's just, I don't know who would want to do that or why. Don't worry about it. Use your hydrometer as long as it's a few degrees, 10 or 20 degrees within its calibration point, which mine was 60 Fahrenheit. Then you're fine. Don't worry about it. Just do it. Use the hydrometer, take the reading, get your yeast in there, and move on. It is not important for you to be changing the readings of your hydrometer unless you're going like 120 degrees, 130. I'm not sure what you'd be making if you were testing it at that temperature though. Usually we test it before we pitch the yeast. And that would be on average 65, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So there you have it. Any comments you have about this down below? Is there more of a difference when there's sugars or a solution, you know, stuff in the solution where it's going to raise the, you know, I didn't do that. I could have added sugar or salt or something like that, or something to the water to change the gravity reading, and I could have done that all again, but I didn't. So it's an interesting experiment, and I think that it's the point. One of the points here, a good point, is that if you're wondering about something like that, do the experiment yourself. You can go on forums and you can read what people say, and you get all these different opinions and things like that. The best thing to do is try it yourself to see what really happens. It's the only way to get down to the truth. So I thank you guys for watching, and cheers. Thanks for coming back. Thumb up the video if you haven't already, because that helps me out a lot. Really, it does. And other channels that are pertinent to me are down below. To my vinyl channel, my talk channel. I'm going to go now. I'm out of time. Cheers. 17. Be safe. Bye.
17.
That was not planned.